For clarification and simplicity, I would like to explain to you that we start the movement at 0 point, as you know, and then each movement, like the movement of unity and motion, then it comes to foundation, it completes in cell and crown. So from the first movement on, all the movements complete and start themselves in crown. For example, as we said, the first one, we go to foundation and we complete in crown. The second movement, it goes to foundation, in ascend to the centers, it defines central heart, which is the center of space and the rib cage, and then returns to foundation in order to complete its silent crown. That's the completion of the second movement. The third movement, from foundation, and the releasing wave touches the suspended diamond, which is the release of the throat, descend and ascend to foundation, and it completed salad and crown. That's the third movement. The fourth one is the same. Goes to foundation, ascends through the delicate heart, touches through central crown, becomes asymmetrically in the diamond to moving heart. It ascends back through the centers to central crown. It extends forward and back as it arrives to self. And now this movement ends in a connection called 0 point balance. Not to confuse you, this connection you will experience and understand clearly when we do the movements standing. So from here, from self, the releasing wave will bring you back to 0 point balance in order to start the fifth movement. Okay? Now, in this fourth movement, we have defined the 7 centers. In foundation, as I said, the pelvis and the pelvic floor. In central crown, the solar plexus and your heart. And suspended diamond, the release of the throat. And suspended, in central crown, the head and the pelvic and the crown. And then moving heart, which is the centralization of your heart as it corresponds to foundation. We come back to central crown, and now we're defining self. Self is very, very wonderful. It's a wonderful place to practice. We also call this connection of self giving and receiving, because we're giving ourselves up as we receive ourselves up in the center. And then from here is when we descend, ascend to 0 point. Now that we have defined the 7 centers, and all of this movement, in these 4 movements, we define the inner connection of the 7 centers. Now, if we were to continue with that motion and continue from the inner connection, we will define the outer connection of these centers. And another form of saying, all the points in space that we touch in 3-dimensional space that allow to experience the inner centers from the outer form, from the extension of the movement. Because in here, the movements were pretty self-contained. We were defining the centers, the 7 centers, as allow us to experience the movement of 3-dimensional motions of the metrics. Remember the metrics of balance. Now, from here, we're going to define the outer form. And the outer form involves 3 connections. The connection of infinity, which is a connection that allows to experience the transversal connection between arms and legs. The connection of expansion, which is the centralization of the heart and the full extension of the heart. And the connection of Mandala crown, which is very similar of crown itself. Crown was all the way up the top of the head. Remember the completion of crown. But Mandala crown, it followed the directions of your head and your arms to a connection that is still extended through the crown, but the eyes are less connected through the length of the spine and more in this plane, which is the connection of Mandala crown connecting to the crown to the pelvic floor. Yeah? All this information will become more clear as you learn all the movements, because each movement will facilitate to you the understanding of all these simple movements that we're showing to you now. All right? So let's do now the outer mandala. This is the inner part of the mandala, this is the outer part of the mandala. Yeah? So we'll start. 5, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's do 1 crown to complete, to make sure that we are clear. Here we are. Now we go 1, 2, 3, and now ascend through centers, right there, and it goes to infinity, right there, and now we complete, and it goes to expansion, right there, and now we complete, and we go to Mandala crown. 1, 2, 3, 4, we complete in crown. That's the movement. Now we'll do it again. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Complete. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Complete the movement. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the inner outer mandala. Okay? Wonderful. To clarify this last movement, the inner outer mandala, I think I would like to explain to you something that could be very complex, but we're going to make it very, very simple. In the first movement, as you know, we already practice it, and we go to foundation to crown. The second movement, as we said, we ascend through centers. And the second movement is easy because you're just ascending through centers, you're right to the level of the rib cage, and you unite the heart. And that's when you're in the center of a space, and yeah, when you're descending. Now, the third movement is a little bit different because we are ascending through center and we do a releasing wave. Remember that the wave, as it races through the center of your spine, releases through your arms. And then descend and ascend to foundation. Beautiful. Now, the fourth movement is a little bit different because we are not going releasing the wave to go to central crown. We're going through a place called delicate heart. So when you're going up, remember that your arms are facing down, like that, to foundation, and they get to be a point at the elbows that the arm make the transition from down to go up. And that seamless point of transition between down and up is what engages the thoracic vertebra of the spine to be able to raise inside of its own form and avoid just to go back. Otherwise the spine will just go forward and back, and then you innocently would crystallize yourself by closing down. So the delicate heart is different than the releasing wave. The releasing wave of suspended diamond moves through itself and arrives to the suspended diamond. The delicate heart, at the level of the solar plexus, make the transition between facing down to go up seamlessly and arrive to central heart. And then it's easy to return around to moving heart. It comes back again to the same place. It touches self, as you know, and then it goes through descending, ascending to 0 point balance. Now, and the fifth movement is even a little bit different. It doesn't go through the releasing wave or the delicate heart. It goes through a path called infinity's gate. And what this path does, in the beginning may seem to be complex, but it's very, very simple. It's to form in a space that allow the thoracic vertebra again to release through all the vertebrae. So when I get to infinity, which is this point, I'm not locked back by my shoulders, but I'm completely extended through the shoulders, through the corresponding direction of the ribs, and then the spine is free through its line of 3 dimensions. So infinity's gate is the path of movement that allows the vertebrae from inside to move. And then it'll allow me that when I get to foundation, to infinity, I can move from the head very gently forward to allow me to go to expansion. Expansion, and take me away from expansion to innocently start going back, because the tendency may be to push back to experience that we are expanding. But in unity and motion, we find a place and a space that opens us up. Yeah? So we're going to practice now the movement of infinity's gate, the fifth movement that allows us to get to infinity. In the beginning, seems to be complex, but when you begin to discover it inside of you, it's a very, very pleasurable thing, because you are avoiding pushing the vertebra and allow the vertebra to move through you, which is what allows you to get to the crown. Yeah? Wonderful. So let's do it. We're practicing the fifth movement for a few times, the inner outer mandala. We begin by coming to foundation and then in crown, and then we'll do it just practicing infinity's gate. Yeah? And the form of the infinity gate, it has like a spiral. It goes, if you were to have a chalk and your finger will be a chalk, you will see a form going around that way, and then it's going diagonals, and it goes like all the way down diagonal. So it will be like a bee, honeybee antenna almost, that allows you to open all this area of the back by not pressing back. Okay? So we go 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we go through the inner. 2, 3, 4. Ascending, and this is infinity's gate. This is infinity. Moving forward very gently to connection to expansion. That is expansion. Very gently. This is mandala crown right there, from which the movement is start again, and a complete and crown. Beautiful. We'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, that's infinity's gate. 4, 1, 2 is infinity. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Complete. 2. Yeah. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I complete the movement. To complete it, 2. Remember here the connection to the elbows. So the elbows connect you to 0 point. And here we are.